Hey guys, in this video we're going to do the brutal review for the Arrma Typhon 6S. You know, this is a buggy class vehicle. It has its limitations, but as far as buggy class goes, this one is an absolute blast to play with. In this video we're going to go over what we've done. These are both 6S, they're both version 4, and we're going to go over what we've done to each one to make it the car it is today. We're going to show you the footage of what we've done with these things in the past and what we like to use them for. Then we're going to give you our review at the end, and of course that includes our 4 questions. Is it fun? Is it durable? Is it worth the money? And where does it stack up in the collection? Check this out. Okay, so before we get down inside these, I want to talk about one specific item first. Now, these are both version 4s, and they were bought within a month of each other, and they usually went out side by side, so the mileage is real similar on each car. And each one required different repairs because of the individual run of each car. But one thing that is the same in both cars is the chassis. This is the stock chassis out of that one. Now, both of them are the same. If you hold them up side by side, they almost sit perfectly on top of each other because it's a failing in the chassis itself. Now, I'm not going to pull hard, but watch this. See how that bends? Easy as you can be, you can bend and flex these. That's not a good thing. This isn't the good aluminum. It's cheap. It makes it easy to stamp out, so I understand the modifications they have to make to these from a flat piece of aluminum to get this shape in it. I get that. But at the same time, look at this side here. This point and this point, that's where the chassis braces connect to make it more rigid, right? The problem being the chassis braces are plastic and they flex. See the rub points? Look at those rub points right there. That we torqued these down to make sure they stayed good and snug, and they still wore the paint off of the chassis because they move. And that's not a good thing. Also, if you take a good look at it this way, these are twisted. So it's not like they just bend on the end, and that you can deal with as long as it doesn't bind the drive axles in the middle. But when it twists sideways, it gets more power down on one side because it gets more shock pressure on that side because it's twisted that direction. It makes them really hard to drive, and it's just generally not a good thing. Now on the back, the hinge pin braces mount right here through this square hole. So the square hole locks it in so it can't move. But the chassis braces just have a screw to hold them. That's kind of weird. You would think they'd have a square block out there that the chassis brace snapped into so it couldn't move and the screw just held it in place. But they're actually banking on this screw to hold it. And when you're running it into plastic, you know, we broke these quite a bit as far as the braces themselves. We've broken those quite a bit, and we've had to replace several of them. When we put the aluminum ones in, we haven't broken one of those yet, and they hold up pretty well. These should come, especially with this light aluminum, these should come with the aluminum chassis braces to start with. I think if you had the aluminum ones in here to begin with, the damage on the tail wouldn't be quite as significant. Now, keep in mind, we do run these long distance in the air. They don't always land good. You know, we cartwheel, we tumble, we crash just like anyone else. We try and show that to you on the videos too. But most of the time they land pretty good. We do have a knack for getting them down on their wheels for the majority of the time, but you can't always hit the ramp square and whatnot. If you're gonna run this in regular conditions, in other words, if you take it to a track and you don't usually get it more than 3 feet off the ground, you know, and you're just running it basically 4S or so, these will hold up. I would recommend changing the braces, but the chassis would hold up to that light use, which is what that really turns out to be, kind of light use that way. But if you're gonna launch these, and these fly real nice, if you're gonna launch these, this chassis just straight out will not hold up. So when we get down inside this, we'll show you the changes we've made to each one to make it what it is. So let's not waste any more time. Let's peel the top off of these and show you what's going on. Okay, so let's have a close look at this. Right off the bat, you should be able to see And this one here, which is the one with the red body, this one has a 20-tooth pinion in it, and this one has a 17 in it. So that's the only difference in the running gear between these two. This one and this one both have the 2050, the BLX motor that came with them, same speed control, but the difference is here. This one's stock, it has no modifications to it. This one's stock, but it has a screen that we put over the top, because look at the size of these. See the size of those holes in there? Dirt, branches, debris, all kinds of weird stuff can get down through there and plug that fan up, which causes problems. This one here, it doesn't get down in there, and we haven't had any plugging issues. And this is regular screen off of your screen door. You can go to any of your local hobby shops and find this. Good stuff there. So that's a nice little change, and all you gotta do is pull the screws, put your screen on, put it back on. It could look a little nicer, but it functions, and that's the real important bit. Over here on this one, we still have the stock servo in it, and this is your 15 kg. This is the small one. This is what they come with, guys. This one right here. This is a 25 kg, so it's a lot stronger, it's a lot bigger, and this is a budget one that I bought off of eBay. It's not overly expensive. I think it was like $25 or $30, and these you can find all day long. We've tested these thoroughly in many of the cars, and they work really well, especially for the cost. So there's a nice change there. As far as the radio goes, we've got the DX3 in both of these, and I'm really happy with that changeover, because this came with the STX2. This was not a good radio, and it's really one that I rail against, because the delay in it is so bad that you can feel the difference. And if you've never run one before, it's probably not a deal breaker, but if you've had RC cars before, you'll understand what I'm talking about. This one has the stock braces for the chassis, but the reason we left the plastic ones in is this one has the 1/4-inch chassis on it. Now this is a bulletproof chassis. I've tried to buy another one of these, and they don't sell them anymore, so this is kind of a one-of. But this one is a 1/4-inch thick. It's got the 7075 T6 aluminum in it, and you can dump that off a building and it stays straight. This one, on the other hand, has the TLR tuned one in it, and this, we haven't even run this one yet, but we do have the TLR tuned one that we have tested, and it works really good. For the cost, it was worth swapping it to this one, because one, it's better than the original chassis because it's made out of the 7075 aluminum, and two, it fits directly on with no modifications. It's a really good changeover. All we really did was bolt it in place, and there's a video showing you how you did that. But still, at the same time, since this is a thinner chassis and it is milled out, if you can see down in here, it's milled out all over the place to keep the weight down, which makes it a little more susceptible to bending, in my opinion. So we went ahead and threw the aluminum braces on just to add rigidity. Since this one has a 1/4-inch thick chassis on it, the plastic ones work just fine. This one we changed the differential on, and see how it's pretty well locked down? It's not locked completely, but it's got enough traction in here to where it does control both tires, both sets, front and rear, at the same time. This one, stock. So it doesn't have the change in oil. This one has the stock differential in it. So when you stand on it, the front tires do balloon quite a bit. Also, the front running gear on these things is all stock through this area. We did change out the front bits right here. This one has the aluminum one here. We wound up changing the carriers here and here on it just to make it a little more solid. We did the same thing on this one. We changed it here, put the aluminum bits in it just so that it would be more strength here. The back is stock in both. We didn't have to change anything. The drive shafts here and here and here are all stock. We haven't had to change any of that. These things hold up really well. We have had problems in the Kratons and the Italians, but in the Typhons, these are just about right for what you want to do with them. The center differential is easy to work on. All you have to do is pull these 4 screws, slide this off, and the whole thing pops right off. You can just lift it right out and work on the differential with very little effort. As far as the rest of it goes, we did change out both of the wing mounts on these to the RPM wing mounts because they allow a lot more flexibility when you hit cartwheel and tumble. You can bend them up and you can bend them down depending on where you want your wing to sit. You can bend them and they'll stay. So they're really good that way. Also, when you put these on, you have to trim these two little tabs here to get them to clear everything. See how they sit on this one? They do have to be trimmed off just so that they'll clear the RPM mounts. It's just a little different setup, but that's okay. On this one, we have a little bit of a bend in our shock tower here. On this one, it's still perfectly straight with no issues. This one here, it's bent back just a little bit. This one's perfectly straight. So it's weird how you come down and you can bend something like that, but that small change in geometry there doesn't change the aspect of the shock or the suspension, so it's not a deal breaker as far as that goes. In the back, same deal. Everything still works just like it's supposed to. On both cars, even though it's a little bit bent, nothing makes contact. Everything stays out of the way and it functions just right. So you have to really bend one of those before it becomes something you have to change. Also, up front here, with this bolt, this bolt, and that bolt, you can pull this cap off, but you have to detach your sway bar first. And that allows you to pop this up, and you should be able to get that front differential right out. It's real simple to get these out, and the rear is the same right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and pull off the sway bar connectors, and this slides right out, and you can get the differential out of the car with ease. These things are so nice to work on, and that's one of the things I like about it. Even though we take and beat the crap out of these things, they still are simple to work on. You can get parts for everything, and it does work really well. See how this one's sitting just a little funny? You can just twist it, and now it sits normally again. So that's what's nice about those. Yes, they can change a little bit when you impact them, but you can put them right back. Also, both of these have the RPM front bumper. Okay, so now you've seen what's inside. It's time to get a look at what we've done with these machines. These things are cool. My friends and I, we really enjoy these. We've run them in more situations than you're gonna see on the video, but we're gonna run the footage for you right now so you can see the kind of punishment these things have taken, and then you can judge for yourself. Afterward, you'll get the review and the 4 questions. Check this out. Yes! Yes! Yeah, but it ain't broken. Yeah!
Damn.
Okay guys, there's the running footage for the Typhon 6S. Now, we've done a lot of stuff with this car, and it's not just on the ramps. We've hit racetracks and stuff, but we take them out and just bash too. We don't film everything we do. These have a lot of mileage on them, and this one with a full rebuild, it's good to go. This one without the full rebuild, it's good to go still, and they're really tough cars. This is one of my favorite vehicles to play with in the right situation. The thing is, these cars have fairly small tires and wheels on them, so they're not the greatest in every situation. If you get in the rough, you get out in nature and things of that nature, these things don't do as well as, say, maybe the Kraton, the X-Max. Anything with the larger tires is going to perform a little better than this. But that doesn't take away from how cool these are. If you've got groomed trails, if you've got things of that nature, these cars are awesome. And with all the different iterations of this car, you know, we have the TLR, we've had the Mega, we've had the 3S, we've got the 3S sitting on the shelf down there. And they're all about the same as far as performance. Even the 3S keeps up, especially on the ramps and whatnot, keeps up with these. It's pretty fast in its own right. But this was the first one we've gotten. It always kind of held a place for me. What I was really excited about was when Losi came out with their version, which is basically still the Arrma, but it's designed components by Losi to make it more racetrack ready. These are the basher version, and that's really where my heart's at. That being said, it's time to get on with our 4 questions, and if you watch the channel, you know what they are. Is it fun? Is it durable? Is it worth the money? And where does it stack up in our collection? So let's get on with it. Question 1, is it fun? Hell yeah, this thing's fun. It's super fast, it's pretty durable overall, and it's really stable to play with. Once you swap out the radio, and I did a little research on this to find out what was going on, and the radio that came with this one was a terrible radio. So swapping out the radio became necessary because yes, it was fun out of the box, but as deep into the hobby as we are, the lag in the radio was really noticeable, and it did make the car more difficult to drive. Now that we've got the DX3 in these, the lag is reduced a lot. The range is really good. Controllability is no longer a thing. You can just do what you need to. There's adjustments right on the radio for the gyro. There's adjustments on the radio for the brakes, so you can tune things so you don't get out of control when you get into a corner and things of that nature. Swapping the radios out was a real thing. So now these things handle really well. That being said, we still run the stock motor, speed control, and in that one, it has the stock servo in it. Now, this one has a faster servo because we upgraded it, and you can feel the difference. So although the stock one works, you know, Tina's happy with that one. That was technically her car. So she's happy with that servo. It works fine for what she wants to do. But I can really feel the difference in the much faster servo that's in this one. So as far as fun goes, guys, I'm going to get this 9 out of 10 for fun. And the reason for that is every time I get one out and play with it, I get a grin that won't go away. I just love these things. They're super fun to play with, and they're everything I wanted a buggy to be. And question number 2, is it durable? Well, is it? Let's take a look at the parts real quick again, just to run over it. We've changed servos, we've changed servo mounts, we've changed chassis on both cars, we've changed the wing mounts in them, we've changed the hinge pin braces to make things more durable. But at the end of the day, that's kind of pretty much all we've had to do. We did change the chassis braces on the new one, and that's just to protect the new chassis, and we are around here a little disappointed that these cars didn't come with the aluminum braces in the first place, but they're not too hard to find, and if you order the ones for the TLR, they're aluminum to start with, so you're good to go there. So, is it durable? Well, when you weigh all that out and weigh out how we run our cars, if you run your car in a fairly sane manner and you don't get it too far off the ground and you run it for what it's designed to do, it's a buggy, guys. It's designed to be on the ground. It's designed to jump some. but it's not really a airplane, right? So if you're going to run them the way we run them, we're going to run into a lot more issues. Now, granted, we don't go to skate parks, and landing on concrete is a problem. If you land in nature, usually there's a little give in the ground and things that you land on. But on concrete, it is really not forgiving. So we try to stay away from that, because at the end of the day, we're not really trying to destroy the cars. So with all the changes that we've made on these, I'm going to give that one 7 out of 10 for durability, because over time you do wind up putting quite a few parts in it. And question number 3, is it worth the money? Well, you know, as usual, that's always subjective, because this is the 6S, it's an RTR, and it does come ready to get it. When all you gotta do is put batteries in the car, batteries in the receiver, or the radio, and you're good to go. But at the same time, this weighs up quite a bit, and here's something for you to think about. This is the 3S version, okay? This one is substantially less money, and it still does basically the same thing. It's just about as thrilling to play with. It flies good. It's really durable. This has no modifications added on it at all, and we beat the crap out of this, and it still looks brand new, even underneath. Check that out. So this one has the plastic chassis on it. It's less expensive, but it is 3S. It's brushless. So the value on this one is really high, comparatively speaking, to that one. Still, the same thing can't be said about how these things work. And what I mean by that is, although these are heavier, they're 6S, and when they balloon up the tires and just rip down the dirt, it's way more impressive than the 3S. But if money's an issue and things are a little bit tight, 3S batteries are cheaper. You only need one. This is 6S, so if you have 3S batteries, you'll have to have 2 of those, or spend more to get a 6S battery that fits in it. Now, one thing that is a problem for these is, if you take a look down in here, this is your battery tray here, and the body sits just about there. So if you stack up 2 5,000 milliamp 3S batteries, 2 of them stacked in there, they push the body up. So they don't necessarily fit in there. This is a buggy. It's not a Kraton. It's not an Outcast. There's not an unlimited amount of room inside. So 5,000 stacked, not such a good thing. We run 4,000 milliamp 6-cell packs in these, so they fit nicely under the body. So if you already have 3S batteries and you go, well, I'm good to go, they may not fit in here, especially if you have the hard packs. So that's something you got to think about as well. There could be a difference in what it costs for your batteries. Do you need 1? Do you need 2? Do you have to buy special ones for size? That all plays in at that. So as far as the value goes, I really think you get what you pay for with the car. I really do. These things are impressive, and the new ones have the Spectrum gear in them, and that performs really well also. So what I'm going to say on this may come off a little bit strange, but as far as value goes, I'm going to give this 7 out of 10 for value. And that's because you can go right down and get a 3S that is durable, fast, every bit as fun to play with for a lot less money. And it comes RTR, and you only need 1 3S battery, and a 5,000 dumps right in it and runs fine. So that's the kind of difference. If you're looking at money, this one with the upgrades is stunning. But you're still looking at upgrades. You've got, in these ones, we've got chassis, we've got components for the radio, we've got components for the servo and the mounts and the chassis braces. All that stuff adds up over time. And we've beat the crap out of the 3S, and it hasn't required 1 item, nothing. So it's a super tough car. This is a tough car now, but out of the box, you know, if you got into a really gnarly tumble, you just tore stuff up in it because it weighs a lot more and it's a lot more powerful. However, nothing replaces the feeling of basically having a big block in your car. These things are really powerful and they're fun. So I'm going to stick with that. It's going to be 7 out of 10. And finally, question number 4. Where does this stack up in the collection? Well, you know, we've had this car as long as we've had the channel, and we've had a lot of time to play with it. We've bought probably 5 or 6 of these, and we've given a couple out to our friends to get them excited about the hobby, and it worked. They love these things. They play with them all the time. This is definitely a staple in our stable. We like to keep these in here because when we're going for the ramps, and I know that we use that a lot, but when we're going for the ramps, these ones definitely go out, because as far as what we have here, and keep in mind, our channel's based on running stock running gear. We don't spend a lot on this and that and the other thing to make them faster. If you can't gear it up with opinion, we don't change it, and we only do that because we want you to know what you can get out of the box. The performance you've seen in the video of it flying as far as it does and all that, those are stock running gear parts in there, guys. The only thing we're changing on these is the durability components to make it tougher. Stock motor, stock speed control, stock servo if it continues to work, and that's what we generally run. Like I say, one has a 20-tooth pinion in it, that's the red one. The blue one has a 17, and all that footage you saw was run on that gear. So if you buy one, you can consider your car able to do that. You'll have to upgrade your durability if you're going to do that kind of thing, but it will do it with the stock running gear. So that's impressive, and that's what we try to do here. We try to make sure that what we're showing you is possible without doubling the cost of the car. So that being said, with all the cars that we have in our paddock right now, and we've got some big ones, 5th scale, X-Max, Kraton 8S, all the big stuff. We've got the smaller stuff too, the Kraton EXB, the Italian. We have all that stuff to consider when we're placing these things. So I'm really happy to say this one's definitely top 10, and we're going to dump it in at number 6 in our collection. The Typhon 6S rates number 6. So hey guys, if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share, and don't forget that notification bell to stay informed. You know, here at the channel, this is a hobby for us. It's not a business. We do this because we want to, and we get after it as much as possible, but everybody involved in the channel here, we all have full-time jobs so that we can afford to do this. Still, that being said, we're not sponsored by anybody, and we can be brutally honest about everything we say because we're beholden to no one. Keep in mind, this is our opinion only. If you see things differently, right on, that's just fine. What works for you, works for you. It doesn't matter what size car you have. It doesn't matter how fast it goes. If you play with it and it turns you on, you got the right one. But hey guys, if you've got one of these vehicles and you've done some mods to it, or if you've adjusted things to make it work a little better, whatever, please feel free to leave comments down below and help others along the way. Hey guys, I'm AJ with AJJAMStudios saying, keep bashing, guys.